Welcome to the Fearlessly Authentic Sash and Soul podcast, the show that goes beyond the stage, prioritizing a healthy mindset, overall well-being, and triumphs in the pageant journey. In each episode, we dive into the transformative power of embracing authenticity fearlessly.
From mindset mastery and self-care strategies to success stories that inspire, this podcast is your go-to guide for navigating the pageant world with confidence and resilience. Join us as we embark on a journey of self-discovery, empowerment, and celebrate the stories of those who fearlessly embraced their authenticity on the path to pageant success. I'm Lila Sherry.
And I'm Rayanna Johnson. Welcome to Sash and Soul. Hey everyone, welcome back to Sash and Soul. This is Rayanna and Lila, and we have an incredible guest today. I'm so excited. You have no idea. This has been in the works for a little while now, but super excited that it's finally coming to fruition, and really good timing too, which I think may be a little bit of a theme of our episode today. But we have Dixon, Kazantsev, our Miss America, my Miss America 2015. Welcome, Kira. So excited to have you.
Thanks for having me. I'm excited to chat.
Absolutely. Okay, so I'm going to give Lila just a quick second to give a brief background on Kira for those of you that live in a hole and don't know who she is.
I am so excited for this one. Again, thanks so much for being here. Kira is somebody that I have watched for 10 years now, really way back in the beginning of my pageant journey. So this is really kind of a fangirl moment for me as well. She was, of course, Miss America in 2015. Since then, she is a host and reporter for the Golf Channel and NBC Sports. That is huge to me. If you all don't know my journalism background, I know the importance of that and how cool that is, as many of you do as well. Those are the two biggest things for us right now, but I don't like to take up too much time talking about our guests. So I'm going to turn it over to you and give you kind of a chance to introduce yourself more than just these surface level bio topics. So welcome. Hi.
Hi, Lila. I mean, you guys kind of got the greatest hits there. So, but yeah, it's been 10 years since I was Miss America, and life has been really a wild journey since then. It was wild before, during, and after, but definitely after. I've taken 10 years to kind of find this next real settled niche and path, and that's kind of part of the Miss America experience, which I think we'll get into in a little bit. But yeah, I mostly focus now on golf and some Olympic sports, and I travel about 30 weeks a year, which ever since I started traveling for Miss America, it seems like I kind of never stopped traveling after that. That's just kind of become my life. But I live in San Francisco with my husband, and have a fun, crazy life that comes with all sorts of ups and downs and its own set of challenges, but it's all part of it. So yeah, I'm just excited to be here and to get to talk about something that I think that your audience can appreciate.
Yeah, absolutely. So speaking of our audience, I'm sure they want to hear a little bit about just your pageant journey in general. So let's give just a brief overview of like what your pageant journey looked like leading up to becoming Miss America in 2015.
Yes. Okay. So I was 12 when Miss Congeniality came out, and LOL.
A classic.
At Sandra Bullock. I wanted to be Sandra Bullock so bad. I begged my parents to let me do a pageant. Lila's laughing. I had a lot of energy as a child, like loved to sing and dance and just wanted to be on a stage. So it was just like a great opportunity to get out on a stage. And my mom was like, okay, fine. So we did National American Miss once a year from like 12 to when I went to college. And it was, we were very low key about it. I bought all my dresses off of eBay. I never got my makeup professionally done. Like it was just fun. And then as I was figuring out what I was going to do after college, I wanted to go to law school, and I still had some friends from NAM that had gone on to do Miss America locals or competed in teen or something like that. And I think I'd seen somebody on like Facebook or Instagram and asked them about it because I was interested in the scholarship money. And I was like, you know what? I was living in New York at the time. Let's just do Miss New York and see how it goes. So I competed at Miss New York and made top 10 that year. And that was the year that Nina Davalori won Miss New York, and she went on to become Miss America. And then following year, I'd gotten into law school and I was like, okay, you know what? I'm going to compete for Miss New York one more time and see if I can go to Miss America. And if I can be Miss New York, I'll be Miss New York for a year. Like the idea of being Miss America hadn't even entered my brain. And if I don't win Miss New York, I will go to Notre Dame and go to law school. So I win either way. And then, you know what ended up happening. And that's kind of like my journey. But like, I didn't have like a very, like a serious pageant background. It was just something that was really fun and I loved the competition. It was like a fun hobby that my mom and I kind of did for a while, but turned into a lot more than a hobby, I'll tell you that.
Did your dream shift after you became Miss New York to wanting to become Miss America? Was there a moment?
No, because Mallory and Nina had been Miss America from New York. There's like no statistical chance. They'd never had three in a row from New York. And people would come up to me and say, "Oh, you would have been such a great Miss America. Too bad."
Oh no.
Like,
No.
yeah, like it just wasn't like a thing. And like looking back, that was probably my secret weapon because it freed me up so much. There's no pressure. I had so much fun at Miss America. Like I didn't care about the result. I did what I wanted. I wore what I wanted. I said what I wanted. I did the talent that I wanted. I didn't care. I was like, whatever, I'm not gonna win anyway.
Gosh, who does this remind us of, Lila?
Can we get into the talent? Because you kind of emphasized that you did the talent that you wanted. For those who don't know, you were you were sitting in the front of the stage, and I remember you sitting cross-legged on the stage with that red solo cup and singing.
Mhm.
Tell us about that and kind of tell us the
Mhm.
backstory and how you got up to that point.
It seems like my life is very movie driven. I had just watched Pitch Perfect and I thought it was really big at the time. And I I pitched it, I think, to my local executive director, Eddie Rabin, who's still one of my dear friends and was in my wedding and like was an amazing guy. He's a talent agent in New York and like his thought was like he approached Miss America as like not a pageant but like a production, like a Broadway show or like a like a performance, that sort of thing, not necessarily like a what normal people would consider to be a pageant thing. And he was like, I mean, you like this is a great idea, you should do something different. The whole point of being Miss America is sitting on the ground with children or like entertaining children in children's hospitals, connecting with like that is a huge part of it. And I could have done some like normal Broadway song or some pop song or like something that would have been nice, but okay. And I wanted to do something that was going to play on my strengths and show my personality and show my creativity and show that like I could do, I wasn't scared to do something different and that could show that I had that gear of connecting with kids in a different way. Um, so he was like, yeah, try it. And I think I did it at my local, but the year that I competed the second time. And the judges after were like, oh my God, like you have to continue to do this. You have to, like, that was magic. Do it at state. And I was like, okay, sure, whatever. And so I did. And the judges were like, oh my God, you have to do it at Miss America. Like we had a big discussion about like, is this gonna like shock the Miss America people? And it did. It did.
Yeah, I
But
was gonna say the answer is yes, it absolutely
yes.
did. And beyond.
I wasn't gonna win. So like screw it. Who cares? Like I'm just gonna do my thing. And it just like kind of took on a life of its own. And after Miss America, I had a conversation with several of Miss America judges. I remember Gary Vaynerchuk, who was one of our judges, he told me after that when I did my talent during prelims, after I walked off the stage, they all kind of looked at each other and were like, is everyone okay? Like, what did we just watch? And they were like, this was it. And I knew they were going to either hate it and they weren't going to get it, or they were going to like really get it. And he was like, that was it. That was when we were like, she's our girl. She's willing to do that. So that was that.
Wow. Okay. Well, I love that tidbit of like, don't be afraid to step outside of the box. Don't be afraid to do something really different and unique. but also like do it well because you did it well. And I have to tell you, we when we got into our car in Chicago on our way back home to Milwaukee on Saturday, so it was the 10-year anniversary day of our your Miss America crowning. Happy came on. It was the first song that I heard, and I was like, oh my gosh, it's crazy.
Yeah, and we picked Happy as the song because I didn't want to do exactly what the movie was, and Happy was really big at the time. So I was just trying to like really tap into like, okay, what is a kid today going to be really excited about to see a Miss America come into a children's hospital and do? And I did that routine with thousands of kids in hundreds of children's hospitals all year long. And it really was a magic moment thing. And it was like my little superpower that you could break it out at any time. And like everybody knew that routine at the time. So it took on a life of its own, for better or for worse. So, shout out at the haters for making
Yes.
it as memorable as it was.
No, that's absolutely true, right? Isn't that what haters tend to do? Like they're going to bring more attention to it.
Yeah,
And
love it. Thanks, guys.
yeah,
You're just fans.
Yeah.
Appreciate it. Thanks
I
for the
love that.
engagement and the clicks.
So just like thinking from like a coaching perspective, like to all the listeners out there who like kind of think so long and hard and overthink like what they should do for their talent or what they should wear for evening gown or for interview or like just the list, like what their initiative should be, like what would you say to them given like how you came across in shows and stuck by your talent?
Yeah. So I understand that it's like, it's serious. You want to put your best foot forward. You're very passionate about it. You care. And I was all of those things. Like my thing for Miss America was like, there's no way that I can win, but I'm going to be the best version of myself possible. I will have turned over every single stone. Like I'm sorry, I will leave no stone unturned. Like it's not like I was going to mail it in just because I couldn't win. Like I was still going to bring it, but in my way. So that's one part of it. But on the other side it's just a pageant.
Mm-hmm.
It can be this magical, wonderful thing that can change your life and brings you wonderful relationships, experiences, la la la. But it's just a pageant. It's not the dream. It's a dream. It's something that you're doing for fun, theoretically. Like, and that's like, I think that people are like, yeah, totally. Like, I get that. I agree. But like deep down, they're like, I must do whatever, because pageant people are type A personalities that want to do everything perfectly, which is totally relatable. I get that. I have that gear for sure. But I think that judges pick up on people that are genuinely confident in their choices and who they are, and someone who's pretending to be confident in their choices and who they are. And that's just like, you can, I'm sure you guys have watched plenty of pageants, and you can tell when someone is legitimately like, they have a thing, they have a light, they have something that just comes across as an intangible. And somebody else that might come across the stage is like, they've had all the coaching, they've done all the things, they've crossed every T and dotted every I. Their paperwork is perfect, but it's not authentic, and you can smell that from a mile away. And so my advice is like, don't let your mom do your paperwork, don't let your coach tell you what to say. Like, I worked with plenty of people that like helped me develop like exactly what I care about and how I wanted to communicate that. But no one ever told me, you are going to say this or we're going to write this. Like, that's just not how I went about it. And that's my 2 cents on it.
No, I love that. Actually, like if you have more than 2 cents, I would love to hear more, because this is something that we talk about all the time. And authentic, I'm going to say this, even though it's part of the title of my program, authentic is a buzzword. And I think often we're just like, okay, but how do you be authentic? How? I think that's always the question, is in the how. We understand like there's some kind of light, there's some kind of energy, like that genuine confidence. I call it humble confidence, but like, how? What do you think?
Yeah, I call it humble confidence, quiet confidence for sure.
Yeah.
I think that like being a well-rounded human that doesn't have just pageants as their thing in life. Like it is an extracurricular to me. So this is my, I don't want to take anything away from anybody else, that it is their whole life, and that's fine too. But for me, it was an extracurricular activity that was a small part of me. I had so many other things in life that made me who I am. And when it came down to making like competitive choices, I just picked a dress that I liked. I don't care if if this is the dress or like it's elongates your leg this way, or this is what is fashionable. Like it does not matter. Like pick what you feel is going to make you shine brightest naturally. Sing the song or dance the dance or play the whatever or do your monologue. Like whatever it is that like you have fun doing. And then when it comes down to the interview, which for me, I think was probably most important because I got my personality across quickly and efficiently. I read a lot of books. Like I didn't, there wasn't a lot of, like let's go through every single buzzword topic thing and practice how we're going to respond and give the perfect answer. I read a ton of like different points of view type books that I like digested how other people talk about issues and the language that they used and the statistics and the information. And that was a great way for me to like process exactly like, what do I believe and how am I going to communicate this? I got so much value out of all of that reading. So I always have like a list. If I can send you my list of like
of books.
like
That'd be great.
What, yeah, like a Miss America Prep reading list.
Yeah.
10 years ago, so it probably would add more to it. But I just feel like it just made me so like I was talking about things from like a real place of understanding and not just pretending to understand. So like having real substance, legit substance to bring is way more important than I've talked this over with a coach and this is what we've decided is the best way to go about it. Like, no. What do you actually know?
Yeah.
And how are you going to have that come across?
Yeah, and I love that. I was talking with a client earlier this week, and I said there is a very big difference between preparation and practice. And under preparation falls that self-development and that understanding of the world and where you fit within that and what you think of the things going on in the world and your morals and your values. Like it is very difficult to be authentic and genuine and to answer questions honestly if you yourself don't really have a full understanding of who you are. So I love that. That personal development is arguably more important than the practice. Practice needs to come secondary to that.
Yeah. I mean, anybody can pay for a beautiful evening gown, professional makeup, the best track for your song. Like you can buy a lot of this. But at the end of the day, what's happening underneath is completely free and completely up to you. And that's I think the difference. And that's like for Miss New York, my mom made my dress. Like I have never the first time I had my makeup like legitimately professionally done for a pageant was Miss New York. Like I think that those professionals are very, very important. And obviously they were a big part of the Miss America experience and things like that. But like, if we put so much emphasis on what's happening outside of this, like, which is part of it, it is a pageant. But at the end of the day, if you don't have the chops on the inside, then what was the point of all the other stuff? It's just, you got to focus on that first and then the other stuff can come later.
I hope everybody is hearing this. Say it louder for the people in the back. I think it's true. I think especially starting as a NAM girl too, you kind of realize the lack of importance for a lot of those things. And I think it starts to become kind of a crutch when it's fun though, right? I get it. That's the fun part, the gowns, the makeup.
Yeah.
Absolutely. But I think people forget a little bit of how important it is to have that internal validation, first of all, but then second of all, that internal growth that you constantly have to work on. It's the forgotten side of pageantry, I think. So I hope that everybody's listening.
Yeah. Well, and there's different pageants that are looking for different things. And like,
Yeah,
it's not
absolutely.
necessarily like cookie cutter, same thing for everybody, but like
Right.
for Miss America, for my experience, for like the way that like our competition was structured, all of that, that this would be my personal approach. I never did, other than NAM and Miss America, I never competed in anything else. So that I don't have any other touch points on things beyond that. But if
Yeah.
someone were to be competing in kind of that lane, that's what
Yeah.
I would say.
Yeah, where personality is a really important part because it's you doing the job, like your
Yeah.
personality. You're bringing
Yeah.
that into the job. So let's talk about that a little bit. I want to hear about like, I mean, I was there for the full like 2.5 weeks because
We started in DC first. We
we
had like a
did.
long experience.
Yes, yes, we did. We were also one of the classes like, I think this, especially with the recent changes, like we got to meet first in Florida for the Miss
Yeah.
America's Outstanding Teen competition. We had that whole experience at Disney and all that fun stuff. So I want to hear like from your perspective, like what were the ups and downs and everywhere in between of your experience, like for those 2.5 weeks before crowning night? If you can think back, I know like
I
sometimes I'm
know.
like, wait, what?
I just remember having so much fun and being so like happy.
But we
I just
also had a really fun class. To be
we had a
fair, we have
great
our class
class.
reunion next weekend. So like
Yeah, yeah,
we had a great
yeah.
class.
So we had an amazing class, and I just felt like it was so easy to be around most of the like, it
Mhm.
just it was so much fun, and I just felt so like I didn't care about the other stuff, like the comp. I mean, obviously I cared, but like I just wasn't worried about it because I was
Mhm.
there was no chance for me to win. So it was just like I'm just like living my best life. I'm in Miss America, and at the time, like Dick Clark was producing it, so it felt big. It felt like this really important thing that we were all a part of, and we were getting to do these awesome things. And I just felt like it was this. I definitely had this stepping back moment of like, oh my God, I can't believe I get to do this, like realizing what's happening while it's happening. I mean, like, yeah, anybody's gonna have like little moments of self-doubt, but I had such a great support system. I had like Eddie was my executive director. He had written me a note to open for every single day and like put these funny like RuPaul's Drag Race memes in every single one, and like just and like
Mhm.
my family, everybody was just so supportive and having a great experience alongside me. And I the whole time I was there, I kept on reading my books and reading, being staying in my process to make sure I was ready for everything. But I never felt like overwhelmed by the competition or the stress or anything like that. Like if anything, it was the complete opposite, which is probably what freed me up for like the interview was the
Mhm.
best interview I'd ever done in a pageant. And then every other point of it was just like I can't would come off stage and be like, that was like exactly how I would have wanted to do it. But you're able to do things freely when you don't put pressure on yourself and you're not super results oriented and results driven. It was just like, oh my God, I get to go walk on the Miss America stage in this dress. I get to go and do my talent on this giant stage. I get to go and like show these judges how great I am in interview. Like it was just like, this is so cool. So that was kind of my recollection of it. And I know that that's not the case for a lot of people because people were like stressed about like, oh, I have to wear this dress because this sponsor thing for with my state and blah blah blah. Like every state is
Mhm.
very different, and like I was also very lucky. I have to say that like my state executive directors and things like that, like they didn't care. They were like, "You do you, Kira. You got it, boo. Love ya." And that was that.
So, okay, vulnerable but teachable moment, which is why I'm going to say this. I think I had potentially the opposite experience of you. The
Yeah.
similarity, yeah, the
No, no, I'm sorry,
similarity.
guys. Yeah.
But the similarity for me was that Laura Kepler had won
Mm.
right before the slew of Miss New Yorks. And then I'm
Yeah.
coming in as Miss Wisconsin and thinking like, well, Miss Wisconsin like never wins. This is like they're not going to go Wisconsin, New York, New York, New York, Wisconsin, right? But I wasn't taking it as the, well, let's just go and have a really good time, which would have been really helpful for me, I had all the pressure and I like wasn't doing the right stuff for like my own well-being, like just self-care and just like putting myself first. It was all the pressure. And it's like I tell my clients this too, like this is why a big reason why I became a mindset coach, because it's all the things that I did wrong. And I know that, and I'll never get that experience back. And that's
Mhm.
really sad for me. And earlier I said, like, Lila, who does this remind us of when you were talking about like how you approached Miss America and how you were like, I'm just going to have a really good time and I don't plan on winning. So I'm just going to go out there and put out my best. And the rest is history. And it's reminding me of Madison Marsh and our conversation with her. And she said, she talked about wanting to win the experience. And it sounds like
Mhm.
you did exactly that for yourself. It's like you won the experience. And then the cherry on top was being crowned and having this incredible experience.
Why did you put so much pressure on yourself?
I think it was, I mean, I think it was a lot of things. I think it was having been first runner up to Laura and then taking over as Miss Wisconsin that after she had won Miss America
Mhm.
and then coming back and winning, I felt this pressure of like having to be as good as her. And now I know that like it's like that's not really a thing in pageantry. Like there's no such
Yeah.
thing as like beating someone else or like being as good as someone else. The approach now is exactly what you did, which is that self-development and like having fun and but yeah, it was a lot of that and just some mental health stuff too. Like I historically have struggled with depression and generalized anxiety. So it was a lot of that. And then I think just a lacking of support system. So it's kind of like you can look at all the things that you listed as like, I had this and I had this and I had this and I had this and all those things that you're so grateful for. And like, I look back and I'm like, yes, I can be grateful for pieces of those things that I had, but I
Mhm.
didn't have the full puzzle.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It's hard. It's really hard. And so much
Mhm.
of it is also up to, like you mentioned, your environment, the people around you, if any outside sources are putting pressure on you. So if anyone listening is a supporter of a pageant person, just let them live.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. And I think too, in hindsight, my biggest regret is like not getting into therapy when I was Miss Wisconsin leading up to Miss
Mm.
America. Like, because knowing that for myself, like I have a history of struggling with mental illness, like should have been a top priority for me as a state title holder, even if I wasn't going to a national competition, like having that additional professional support for me personally was really necessary because I mean, I look back now even and I had some good experiences those 2.5 weeks at Miss America, but it really put a damper on it too. And like I look back and like, man, I'll never have that opportunity to just like relax and have just an easy, fun time with you guys ever
Mhm.
again. And we did have an amazing class. And sometimes I felt like I was a little bit like reserved and shrinking. I think I was shrinking a lot more than I wish I would have.
Yeah. I mean, it's also such a hard thing because we're programmed to compare ourselves to others.
Mm-hmm.
And like you're constantly looking around and like, look at her outfit, look at her talent, look, this, that, and the other thing. Um, and I just, because again, like it all comes back to because I couldn't win. Like I feel like maybe if I thought I could, that I would have looked
Mm-hmm.
around a little bit more. And because like naturally, like I'm not I have definitely struggled with like the looking around thing. Like naturally, I think in normal life I would have been like looking at everybody else. And like even in my job today, sometimes you have to fight those feelings of like, oh, why did she get this and I didn't, or why did that person get that
Mm-hmm.
opportunity? And like my thing is different, and like you have to like rein yourself in from those thoughts and realize like, oh, like I'm doing just fine. And that environment is ripe for that. And it's just because I was so freed up, I just was doing that
Mm-hmm.
less, and it made it easier for me to like be myself, make friends, and like like really go full Kira, as opposed to
Mm-hmm.
feeling like I needed to beat somebody essentially, or be as good or better than somebody else.
Yeah, absolutely. Go ahead,
I
Lila.
wanted to jump in here. I wanted to ask you about a post that you had made, and you had said that a Miss America had come up to you after you were crowned said that it would take you 10 years to feel normal again. And you were kind of like, what the heck? And then you said you understood why they said that and kind of what that meant. So I guess my question to you is, why did it take you 10 years to feel normal? And were there any struggles that you had during your year as Miss America personally? Because I know it's easy from the outside looking in to think that everything is butterflies and rainbows, but Ray mentioned mental health. I mean, what were some things that might have happened that we didn't see from the outside? And then why did it take you 10 years to feel normal?
Well, normal is normal is boring anyway. But yeah. So the night that I crowned Betty, a former Miss America came up to me and very nonchalantly, with good intentions, completely good. Like she wasn't trying to be, mean or anything like that. She was like, "Oh, Kira, don't worry." Like patted me on the shoulder. She's like, "You're gonna feel normal again in 10 years." And I was so angry at her in that moment that she said this to me. And I was like, the night that you crowned the new Miss America too is like you're very raw and vulnerable, and like this thing that has defined you for a year, it's gone, and now you're just like flailing in the wind, trying to figure out life post Miss America. But I just remember feeling so like having a visceral reaction to her and to this, and part of it was because I like what we were talking about with like comparing yourselves to others, that then you start comparing yourself to the other Miss Americas and like what have they done after Miss America, and I need to be as good or better or get there faster or continue to have this pace and to continue to make it seem like I am like I'm great post Miss America. I've been able to use this experience in the best way possible and like be super successful and la 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 la. Like then you start to put pressure on yourself. That's like a whole like I lost my like, oh, I'm great thing like in those immediate like couple of years, and then it was like not good in terms of my thought process. But I mean, Miss America is as I'm sure you know, like it's a complicated thing. Everything from social media comments, message board comments, things that people say mostly online. Nobody would ever say any of this stuff to my face. That sort of trauma of like people not understanding you, people talking about you in a way that's like that you've offended them or you've done something like it like took a little while to, like you become famous overnight and all of a sudden everyone is calling you names. They're saying that they're picking apart how you look, like they're like every little thing about you. And I'm a pretty like strong minded person, but like it'll get the best of you. And like I do my best to not read anything, not read any comments, but sometimes inevitably it still makes its way to you. And and not to mention like during the whole year, like you are completely beholden to the organization. They plan every single moment of your life. They send you to things that maybe you don't want to be sent to. You end up by yourself in an Atlantic City hotel room in February where the only thing around is like fried food, and like you're lonely, or you just like there are these like kind of like dark times when you're you're about 2 days in between these things, or like just like having to few months in, like the honeymoon period wears off, and then you are sometimes having to like manufacture that smile and that Miss America experience. And like you always have the tour manager in the back of your mind saying, well, this will be might be the first and only time this person will ever meet a Miss America. So you have to make sure to give them the Miss America experience. And like, what is the Miss America experience? It's like Disney World, like seeing Mickey Mouse. Like you can't have Mickey take his head off. Like you have to be, hello, I'm Miss America. So nice to see you guys. Like, thank you so much for coming. Blah, blah, blah. Like, oh my God, like it takes a lot. It takes a lot of energy. And like you do that every day for a year.
I was gonna say she still got it, Lila. Did you hear that?
I know, right? I got a glimpse of it.
Yeah, I can pull it out every once in a while. Still got. I mean, I work in TV, so like that's a whole different thing now. Like Miss America prepared me for that. I remember I had this one appearance in Canada. LOL, our wardrobe provider for Miss America was Canadian, but we love them. They had me. I was in some little town in Calgary, somewhere in Canada, doing a big. Canadians love Miss America. Who knew? And it was a appearance at a store, like a little store. And they were having me like model outfits. So I would go in the back to change and come out in a different outfit. And there was this lady that was also modeling outfits. She was probably 10 or 15 years older than me. And I didn't have my own changing space. Kind of weird, but it's fine. Like, what am I gonna do? Like, be dramatic about not having like my own changing room? Like, I don't care. But it was a day that I was very, very tired. For some reason, it was just like not a good mental health day for me. And I would go out and do my like song and dance in the outfit and like smile to the people that were in the store. And then I would come back to change and I would just kind of like, like the robot gets turned off and you're like, ooh. And this girl or woman that was much older than me, I'm 23 at the time, was also changing back there. And just like, while I'm changing it, I just need like a second to not talk to somebody, just kept asking me questions, kept asking me questions. And it was a kind of one of those moments where I just like couldn't turn it on for her. And I just was giving her one word answers. I was like, yep, yep, I'm from this and this is what the experience, the same questions that we kind of always get to about Miss America. Well, I just like couldn't do it that day. And then all of a sudden, she got so upset with me and she was like, wow, this is Miss America. I can't believe that you are the person that's supposed to be representing this. Like this, this is how you treat people, blah, blah, blah. And I just remember sitting there and I just broke down sobbing in front of this lady. And I was like, ma'am, I don't know. I can't tell you. I don't know what to tell you right now, but I just don't have it for this. So if you want to be mad at me, that's fine. I can't get there with you. And I think that she was like taken aback. And I went out, I literally like put on my next shirt, I went out, like wiped off my tears, went out, was like, okay, and then like went back to the changing room, sobbing, more sobbing. And then, like Julie, the tour manager, I think, picked up on something. She came back there and she was like, what's going on? I was like, it's fine. She made me cry. I just need a second. It was like, that was just what you functioned in constantly.
Yeah.
But so like a lot of that wears on you. And then it takes 10 years of recovering from all these, like, I probably have a billion little stories like that of like this time this person made this comment about what I looked like or how I sounded or whatever. And like finding your confidence again and finding what I want to do, what's my passion and purpose beyond being Miss America. Yeah, it just took a long time for me to understand that there's this whole other life and that I could get there. And like, it just took time. And this year I was like, that Miss America, she was right. I finally feel like settled again. Like I'm not trying to compete with anybody. I'm not trying to grind. I'm not trying to like prove anything to anyone. I'm just good. And that's taken a while. So, but that's okay.
Oh, that hits. That really.
Yeah, it's a really interesting like dichotomy that we're at right now, like 10 years out versus like the healing that Lila's going through right now and the transition. And like, it's so real. I think like I can't relate to the level of this at a national level, but so much of what you're saying, I'm like, oh, okay. Like, yeah, this makes sense for me then. Like in the last 10 years of recovering after a year as a state title holder, even it's really indescribable, the experience. And I think that's why the sisterhood gets to be so strong, because there's not a lot of people that can relate to what you've been through as a Miss America.
Yeah, like you mentioned, we had a great class and some of those girls have become like, like family. And but it's so funny, like I never saw Miss America competition as like competing against the other girls. I always thought of Miss America as golf, when you're competing against yourself and you're trying to get the best score for you, because Miss America or any pageant is a crapshoot. You don't know what the judges are looking for. Right. You don't know what they're charged with or the scoring or whatever. So you just gotta do the best and hope for because like just because I think somebody else has got all these things or is great or whatever, blah, 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 that they could be not what the judges are looking for. So like, who cares if she's got this like
Mhm.
awesome liquid beaded dress? Like, who
Right.
cares? I might have the thing that they are looking for. I don't know how I got there, but yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's been a wild 10 years, and I'm very lucky to have had golf, honestly, because it gave me an anchor and something else, and it like gave me something to focus on and like build goals around, and like have these strengths that I could develop. And I have learned so much in doing, and like it's taken me a long time to kind of develop that career because I didn't have any traditional journalism experience. I didn't like go through local news and get reps that way. I kind of learned on the fly and was really thrown into it like a fight or flight situation.
Mhm.
um and thankfully I've been able to get to where I am now, but I wouldn't have had that door open for me were it not for Miss America.
Yeah, so let's talk about that because earlier I talked about like perfect timing, right? And so like if we look back at our lives and see all the things that we've had to overcome or the where we've had to like take a different route because, our original route plan wasn't going right. So like, all these different times that we've had to bob and weave. But there are moments that I've noticed in my life, especially in the last 10 years, especially in the last couple of years, but looking back over the last 10 years, is how much of that just kind of all came together in perfect timing. And it was things that like I would never have imagined turning out to be the way that they did. And so if we go back to like your NBC Sports article that you talked about, like that that brief conversation with Rodney, the head of security at Miss America that year, and telling him that you do in fact play golf changed your life more than Miss America did. Can you talk about that a little bit, elaborate?
Yeah. So, if anyone hasn't read it, it was basically me talking about how golf has helped me over the last 10 years find the thing that would be my next step post Miss America. And Rodney is the security director for Miss America. He's also the security director for a golf tournament on the developmental tour for the PGA Tour. And they have an event every year where they invite celebrities, and they're always looking for more female celebrities to play in the event. And now there are a ton that play golf, but at the time, like they were really like struggling to find women that were willing to play in these events as celebrities. So Rodney, I think when I think he had told me that he had asked every Miss America every year if they played golf so that he could try and get them into
Mm,
the event. And I was the first one that said yes. And so he was like so excited. I didn't think anything of it when Rodney asked me that then. And then, I ended up playing in the event. And then one thing leads to another. Golf Channel interviews me. I start getting all these golf appearance requests. I then continued to build on that after Miss America. But the reason it changed my life more than Miss America ever could was because, Miss America is 1 year and it cracked the door open. But having had that experience with golf that first time, that's what really kicked it wide open for me in developing what I would then go on to do for like life.
mhm.
And that's been like such a gift. And saying yes has gotten me, has been a real strength for me. I think I've always tried to, if you say yes, you never know who you're going to meet there. You never know what experience you're going to get out of it, like within reason and with boundaries. But my policy for the last 10 years has been to say yes as much as possible and to show up and to develop my skills and to work really hard. And, sometimes maybe a bit to my detriment, but that particular yes was one that would take me way out of my comfort zone. I had no idea what I'd gotten myself into, but it gave me so much purpose and passion for what I do now. And, Miss America obviously is life changing, but that was a completely different level.
We're gonna link the article in the episode description, along with like your other social handles and stuff too. So yeah, definitely check out that article. I read it before we sat down today too, and just really well done. And I think just goes to show like exactly what we've been talking about this whole hour, and we talk about on almost every other episode of Sash and Soul, which is that like pageants should be fun, but they're not your life. And also just the importance of following your own gut and knowing who you are and letting that lead you. So what's next, Kira? What's next for you?
I don't know. That's a great question. I mean, I'm still going to continue, I think, to work in what I'm doing right now. I hope that that's the case. Show business is show business. You never know what could happen. I always say that my backup plan is I could just open a burrito shop that's got coffee and flowers too, and that's like I'm good.
Coffee
But
and burritos? Interesting.
well, don't you ever go to like a place for coffee, like you wish that they had like a quick small burrito, not a giant one, a small
Yeah.
one that's like
Like
got
just a
good
small bite.
protein, carbs. Yeah, just like
Mhm.
exactly what you need quickly.
Yeah.
Sorry, this is my side my side
Yeah.
business.
No,
What would you call it?
Collectivo is a
Oh
coffee
yeah.
shop in Wisconsin that has those little burritos that you're talking
Yeah.
about. Was obsessed with them throughout college. And that's like one of the things that I miss now that I'm not in Wisconsin. But yeah,
I'm
it's a
telling you.
thing. I hear you. Yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I think I would just call it Kira Coffee. We love some alliteration.
I do love
Anyway, but
alliteration.
so to stay tuned for that. This
Mhm.
is not an actual business plan I have right now. So, but if your listeners are like, yeah, we would be into that, then hit me up. But I want to keep growing it with what I've got in NBC right now, and maybe cover some new sports and be kind of okay also with feeling a little bit more settled and not
Mhm.
feeling like I need to be always on the road, constantly grinding, trying to prove something post Miss America, trying to do any of that sort of stuff. I feel very comfortable with having let a lot of that go, which defined probably the first like 5 years of being post Miss America, because you just, the world, or the world doesn't put those expectations on you. You put those expectations on you because you are, perceiving that is reality when in fact it's just not. So I'm good. I'm happy with just being Kira, and that's my plan.
Before we go, my journalist bug is itching. Can we end on what you're doing right now? Can you kind of give us a day in the life of what it looks like behind the scenes as a broadcast reporter nationally?
Yes. Okay. So I work for Golf Channel and NBC. My role primarily is as the news reporter for two shows we have on Golf Channel called Golf Central and Golf Today. So I cover like between 16 and 20 PGA Tour events or majors, or a few women's events throughout the year for them. And I also just finished working at the Olympics for the first time, where I was a sports desk reporter for NBC. So the sports desk position is essentially the reactive body of the Olympics reporting experience. So not every sport has a dedicated reporter. So if all of a sudden somebody's going to be medaling for the U.S. in taekwondo or water polo or rowing, they send a sports desk reporter to come to that day's competition in hopes that there will be an American medal story. So you would find out generally the night before or the morning of, or sometimes 15 minutes before, like, oh, there might be this great medal story. We need to send a reporter. They would send me. Or there was like a pool of us, or a few others as well. And then we also did like these awesome features and stories. So I was bopping around Paris doing stories on like the history of French cafes, the history of the French beret. I got to go to the Stade de France, which is where they did the track and field competitions, and do a whole thing on like how the timing technology works on those competitions, like shoot the starting gun at the track and field competition. So like just, what just really, really cool, fun stuff. I love sports. I love reporting on sports. I love the it's kind of got a pageantry to it, which is probably why I'm drawn to it. I love being a person that's there, like watching somebody achieve their dreams and winning. I don't know how you guys, I feel like this is a pageant person thing, but like whenever somebody wins, I cry. So it's
Yeah.
like,
Mhm.
I imagine like, the song playing in the background, like,
Yeah.
the crowning song, like all that, but like they like won a golf tournament. So it's not that's not happening, but like I see it as like this, like you did it, like you achieved your dream. And I just have this very I guess pageanty, glittery
Yeah.
approach to when somebody wins. It makes me really happy, and I think that's why I love reporting in sports.
Love that. It's like your nervous system bringing you back to when that experience happened for you.
Yes,
Mhm.
exactly. What's the Nam song? Isn't there a
Miracles
Nam song that
happen.
miracles happen? Well, yeah, that song.
Yep.
Every time somebody wins, that's the song. I'm like, oh, and the confetti. Yeah,
Yeah.
there you go.
I love it. Oh my gosh.
Sorry, that's
This has
very
been
niche. That's very,
amazing.
very niche.
I know. I'm like, yes.
Okay, this has been so much fun, and I wish we could keep talking, but I want to be, cognizant of your time, of course, too. But I want to give you the last word for today. And is there anything that you would like to share with our Sash and Soul audience, the listeners that have tuned in?
Oh gosh, I'm very, very grateful for my Miss America experience and journey and the people that I've met along the way. It was the single most bizarre, wonderful, complicated, intense, magical thing I've ever gotten to do. And it had like every single day since Miss America has come up every day, no matter like my cameraman at work will be like, "Hey, Miss America," or I have a conversation like this, or like it just in some way, my crown is sitting on my bookshelf. Like, it's like it's always been it becomes like a part of who you are, but it is not everything. And so my big piece of advice is always, it is not the end all be all. You, when you're competing, are generally quite young. There is so much life left ahead, and this will be a wonderful thing that can help shape you and mold you and give you wonderful experiences. And those are the things that like make you. But it's not everything, and it's been something I'm so proud of. But I'm also so proud of everything I've been able to do since. And that's probably what I'm most proud of, is having finally gotten to a place where I can just, as I said, just be Kira, grateful, but just be Kira.
Love that.
But it was fun. I mean, like, we love Miss America, so it was great.
Yes, you were an incredible Miss America, and
thanks.
So much fun to talk with today. And I get to see you again in like a week and a half. So looking forward to that. You're going to be there, right?
I think so. I think I might just go for the Saturday.
Okay.
I might have to be in New York the week leading up to it. So I'm either going to come straight from New York, or I don't know what's happening next week, but I'm going to do my best to be there on just the one day at least.
All right. Well, hopefully I will see you at the Miss America 2015 reunion. Happy 10 years. Thank you so much for being here. Yes.
Thank you, Kira.
Yeah. Thanks, guys. And good for you for like creating this and a great place for conversation. And I'm sure that I probably would have benefited from a lot of these types of conversations back in the day. So it's great.
We appreciate that.
Appreciate you saying that. All right. You take care. Thanks again.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye, ladies.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Talk to you next time.
Bye.
Hey, we want you to be a part of our growing community. Hit that subscribe button now to stay up to date with the latest insights and strategies straight from industry experts and seasoned competitors. Whether you're a seasoned competitor or just starting your journey, our podcast is your go-to resource for all things pageantry. In each episode, we explore topics like mastering the interview, perfecting your stage presence, navigating the world of pageants, and cultivating confidence. And while you're at it, leave us a review. Your feedback fuels our passion to bring you valuable content that resonates with your journey. Join our community of successful women from around the globe. Subscribe, tune in, and let's embark on this journey together.